This video is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform to create your very own beautiful website. A big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Whether you're starting fresh or growing your brand, you can create a beautiful website, sell products, offer services, and engage your audience all in one place on your terms. My official blog domain, cupsandthoughts.org, was done using Squarespace domain. They make it really easy to find the right one, and everything's included with no hidden fees or complicated add-ons. They have a streamlined way to simply allow you to claim your space on the internet. They also have the most beautiful website design templates. You don't have to be a designer to make a website that feels totally you. You can start with some of their gorgeous templates. If you're ready to create your own website, visit squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/cupsandthoughts to save 10% off on your first purchase of a website or domain. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. This video will be a wrap-up video and I will be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of July. I read a total of 10 books in July, 2 of which are audiobooks and 8 of which are physical books, which I have stacked over here. Surprisingly, it's been a pretty productive reading month for me, considering that I did leave on an overseas trip back to Indonesia for some errands and family matters, and yeah, I was there for about 5 to 6 days, so I didn't get to read any books while I was on my trip, but I did get through a bunch of books before that. So yeah, I am excited to talk to you guys about these books. Just a little shout out to my little Kiki's delivery service sweater. This is the Uniqlo Studio Ghibli collaboration and I absolutely love this. They had a few sweaters available, but I did go for this Kiki's delivery service one just because I love this little Gigi emblem over here, and I'll show you what the sweater looks like at the back over here. I got it in a size up. I think it's a size S and I'm usually a size XS, so it's super nice and cozy to wear, and yes, I love it. And I have here my Kiki's delivery service mug as well, just so we are consistent with the theme. But yes, I will link this mug in the description box so you guys can check out the creator for this. I have here a mug of warm matcha as well, just because it's super cold and stormy in Perth at the moment. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Okay, the first book that I wanted to talk about is Silvercloak by L.K. Stephen. This is an art kindly sent to me by Penguin, so thank you so much Penguin for sending this over. This is already out, so you can always check this out in stores if you want to. This was amazing. If you guys didn't know, L.K. Stephen is also the author of Our Infinite Fates, which was also released earlier this year, but that was more for a younger audience. Silvercloak is L.K. Stephen's adult fantasy debut. As you can see from the tabs, I absolutely devoured this. I really liked this. I thought this was just so incredibly unique and original, and it was just so... I love her writing so much. I think the author's strongest suit from my read of Our Infinite Fates is definitely in her writing. She just has a way of writing really smoothly that it flows really well, and her books are just so, I don't know, easy to read. You just fly through them so quickly. This was like, I think 500 pages almost, and I read this in like maybe 2 to 3 days. It was honestly amazing. Silvercloak is about this girl called Saffron whose childhood was completely ruined by the murder of her parents. She believes that the murderers are a part of the Blood Moons, which is a rival gang to the Silvercloak. So Saffron grows up to kind of fly her way to get into the elite academy of the Silvercloaks, and she has this ability, this really rare ability, in that magic cannot affect her in any way or form. So that makes her a really great sort of undercover detective to get into the rival gang, which is the Blood Moons. So yeah, she kind of goes undercover as like a Silvercloak detective, and she kind of has to lie her way around and go undercover, and it was really exhilarating. I think this was just so much fun. And yeah, so L.K. Stephen just has a knack for like snappy and sharp storytelling, and when you pair that with a compelling and unique magic system, or should I say there's a magic wand system, which you just don't see anymore in fantasy books, which I just love. And it's a magic system that's fueled by pleasure and pain, which is again so interesting. So I think from memory, pleasure adds to the quantity of your magic, so it adds like to your well of magic powers, and I think pain adds to the quality of your magic. So kind of need a mix of both to kind of enhance your powers and your strength to to become more powerful in essence. Not only is the world building intricate, it's also very convincing. The things that she does to keep her cover it was so exhilarating. I feel like I was holding my breath for the entirety of the book. The habits of the blood moons and their customary ways of filling up their magic wells were also just so believable. And if you guys can't tell, the blood moons are brutal, so they practice all sorts of like painful traditions just so they can enhance their own powers. Just kind of absurd as well at times. I couldn't look away. It was so intense and thrilling from the beginning till the end. For a book that was a little bit under 500 pages, I ate this up. The plot kept moving and twisting, the magic scenes were palpable and fascinating. The characters are mostly, well, some were genuinely just pure evil that it made my heart and head hurt, but they were mostly morally grey and had depth to them, and it was just so intense and emotional and magical and so unique. It was just so much fun. Like, and that ending, I just need book 2 right now. I'm seriously obsessed with this book. Highly recommend you guys checking this out. This gets a 4.5 stars, I think. I'm still debating if I want to give this a 5 out of 5 stars, just because there were some parts that just didn't really stick with me, but I think 4.5 out of 5 stars is a very solid rating for now. The next book that I wanted to talk about is Nightshade by Autumn Woods. So this was a review copy kindly sent to me by Pan Macmillan, so thank you Pan Mac for this beautiful review copy. This is about a girl called Ophelia who kind of joins this university so that she can understand more about her parents' murder. So her parents were murdered in a helicopter ride, and she believes that the murderer has strong ties to this university. So that's sort of how the story begins. We see Ophelia sort of at the foot of the gate of this university, and things just start literally turning from there. It was very pacey from the beginning, and weirdly enough, at first glance, I thought that this was a dark academia romantasy novel, but it turned out to be a romance/thriller novel almost, set in an academy, which I was totally not expecting. But this just turned out to be so much better than what I expected it to be. I am not exaggerating when I say that I got hooked literally from page 1. There's just something about this book that's just so gripping. Maybe it's the unconventional combination of themes in the story, like the fact that there's a mystery first and foremost, but also an unexpected hate-to-love romance brewing. The male main character is kind of obsessed with her, and he doesn't know why, and we don't know why either, but also it kind of makes sense. Make it make sense, anyone, please. Reading this book felt a little bit disorientating. Like, the sequence of events all happening don't really work together, but also it works really, really well, because why am I flying through 200 pages in literally 2 hours? When I was writing my review for this, I just couldn't quite pinpoint what exactly it was that got me obsessed with this. So if any of you guys have read this book and have similar thoughts to me, please let me know. But anyways, apart from this, I do love the male main character, Alex. I thought he was an amazing character. He's probably my favorite character in the book, and I don't usually like male main characters that much in romance novels, as in they never really tend to be my favorites. It's always like a side character or whatever. But I thought Alex was just one of the best male main characters I've read about in a really long time. He's endearing and he's sweet, and he has so many layers to his emotions, and it just really helps that this is in double POVs. I love double POVs, and I wish all romance novels had double POVs. Honestly, I wish any novel had double POVs. Alas, we can't have that. Double POVs just makes me adore and connect to the characters a lot more. This was just a really, really great book overall, and I seriously recommend this if you're looking for something kind of fresh, but also fast-paced and a little cheesy, but still heartwarming and relatable. I have to have this to bits as well. And a lot of the tabs here had to do with the romance, so I like the romance in this a lot. I'm sold, really. I will read anything that Autumn Woods publishes from now on, pretty much. There's just something in this that got me so obsessed, and this has a second book, which I am so excited for. Love this. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I have here is Of Flame and Fury by Michaela Bridge. This was another review copy very kindly sent to me by Pan Macmillan, so thank you Pan Mac for this stunning final copy. This has Phoenix racing in it, and that's pretty much all you need to know about this book. This is just such a fresh fantasy novel. Why did this kind of remind me of the Disney film Cars but with phoenixes? And a whole lot of conflict between conservation and collaboration. I don't know why, but I love when something involves like comms or like communications, like talking to each other through earpieces and radios. Our main character is a phoenix tamer, so she like owns a phoenix but doesn't actually race her. Someone else races on her phoenix, and she's one of the people behind the scenes telling the racer what to do through these like earpiece like intercoms, like how to navigate her phoenix and win the race, etc. The one thing that really stood out to me was the way that they talk to each other through the comms. I don't know, just something about it was just so endearing. I have so many tabs during those moments specifically. When I was reading this book, I feel like I myself am a racer, and I'm racing on Savita, which is the main character's phoenix. I feel like I was actually right there in the moment, racing in the very anxiety-inducing circuit. I feel anxious for my team, but I also have my supportive teammates watching and guiding my every move. It makes me feel so reassured and grateful. And because Phoenix racing is incredibly dangerous, there's a lot of emotion in every single race that they partake in. The stakes are very high, and people do a lot to the point of death to win these races. So it is an emotional roller coaster each time they do these races. None of the characters really stood out to me though, apart from Coop. I love his distinct and strong personality. Kel just felt to me like a huge black cloud. She's just always so negative and weirdly hot-tempered. She's also really stubborn, but I guess that's justifiable considering all that she's had to go through. Initially, I wasn't convinced with the enemies to lovers. I don't think there was enough backstory or reasoning to Kel hating Coop and vice versa. There was just nothing distinct that would put them both into enemy territory. So I wasn't very sold on the enemies to lovers, and I would have preferred if this was not marketed as such, as I see them as something along the lines of, I guess, not friends or even friendly, but eventually drew close to one another and developed feelings kind of couple. Not everything has to be enemies to lovers, but that said, their romance is actually super sweet and cute. The romance had a steady and consistent pacing, and the plotline just kept on moving really. It didn't bloat out of proportions and kept the readers curious and on their toes with little things that added some edge to the plot. I just love and appreciate how fresh this was. We get a lot of the fantastical elements we know and love, but the way the author twists and delivered them felt very unique and original. This was just so much fun. This gets a 4 or 5 stars from me. The next book I have here is Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. This gorgeous proof copy was sent to me by Hachette. So thank you, Hachette, for this stunning proof copy. I am just in awe of this shiny arc. This follows Clara as she was sent to a lifetime of prison for kind of illegally inking tarot cards, which is something that is only reserved for practitioners of Arcana Academy. But then one day the headmaster of the academy kind of pulls Clara out of prison on one condition, which is that she uses her inking tarot card ability to kind of steal a tarot card from the king so that the headmaster can use it to recreate an all-powerful tarot card that has been lost through history. I had really high hopes for this one just because the synopsis sounded really interesting. I love a unique magic system as well, and this one had tarot cards, which was so interesting. Unfortunately, it did fall a little flat for me, and I hate to admit that it took a lot out of me to have to get through the book. The characters were okay. I didn't feel much connection to them. The plotline was also okay at the end. Stakes were very low for like the first 200 pages or so, which probably took away a lot of my interest of the book quite a bit. And the romance kind of came out of nowhere. The two characters, they loathe one another at the beginning for good reason, but do find each other attractive in strength and looks, but that was kind of it, and I did not like that. They had a fake marriage thing going on as well, and I'm so sad that it didn't sell it for me, unfortunately. And the writing was also kind of bloated. I don't know how to explain it, but it just kind of blown out of proportions in a way, and I just couldn't connect to anything in the story because it was taking so long to get to the point. This almost felt like One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick for me, in the sense that the themes were interesting, but the execution just did not work for me. The only thing that I enjoyed from this book, well, there were a few things that I enjoyed from this book, and that was the friendship element, Pris, the traitorous cat, which I love, and the ending, which I think really piqued my interest for the second book, fortunately. So I am still excited for the second book, but had a really hard time getting through this book. So yeah, for that, this gets maybe a 2.5 or 3 out of 5 stars. These tabs were fun moments. I was just kind of adding checkpoints to the book where I had like different emotions throughout. So yeah, that's Arcana Academy. Alright, next here I have A Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwen. This is another romantasy that follows a fated pair who are thrust into opposing factions of a violent class. This follows Nina and Patrick, and they are a part of opposing factions. One is an artisan and the other is a craftsman. It's a bit interesting that this is marketed as a romantasy because it didn't really feel like a romantasy in the sense that it's nothing too flashy, but if this is what romantasy is becoming, sign me up because this was amazing. I love that this was nothing flashy and broody. Sometimes I just love a normal human main male character that isn't like a king or a prince or a vampire or anything with lots of power and magic, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that though. I just love some simplicity once in a while. It feels very refreshing. We see the characters grappling between what they know and love to what should be done to save everyone that they love. It's not a linear plotline, and we're winding around quite a bit, seeing glimpses of Patrick and Nina's family and troubled past. Patrick is a part of a rebellion, and we really see him labor hard, as in like he's not powerful or rich or well liked, and he really works his way up to not only be feared by people but also be loved by readers. Patrick gave me the biggest Thomas Shelby vibes from Peaky Blinders, which I just love. He has this like no-nonsense attitude. He is always so decisive and he's just so sure of his beliefs, which I find very, very interesting to read about. I think he's just such a strong male main character. I liked Patrick well enough at the beginning of the story and found myself adoring his character by the end. I might even prefer him over Nina, who is our female main character, who I also love. I am just very pleasantly surprised by this take in romance fantasy. I think this leans more to fantasy than romance though. We get a lot of world building and high stakes action, while the romance takes a back seat and is very subtle. I love subtle romance. It makes all the flitting gazes and physical touches in this book feel like it's more well earned and not so spoon-fed to us excessively. I like that we don't see any outward attraction between Nina and Patrick. We don't see Nina constantly describing how attractive or attracted she is to Patrick and vice versa in their inner monologues. It's obvious that they like each other, but not to the point where it's the main focus. Again, it's more of a side plotline that they like each other, but not to the point where it's the main focus. It's more of a side plotline and doesn't add much to the story, but it's happily well received considering how subtle it is. The romance is playing hard to get, if you will, which makes you want it more. Yeah, and I love that in a book. The yearning in this as well was just such a joy to read. I tabbed this to bits as well. There were just so many scenes here that I absolutely adored. This is the gorgeous Australian sprayed edges edition as well. Unfortunately, the tabs kind of ruined the edges, but I think this is just a stunning book inside and out. This was kindly sent to me by Atria Books, who is the publisher of the book. I also received a beautiful PR package with an arc as well, which I am very grateful for. And the ending of this, you guys, it got me reeling, and I just need book 2 ASAP. This was so good. Highly recommend this. This gets, I think, a 4 out of 5 stars for me. Okay, next up we have A Kiss of Hammer and Flame by Amy Delaforce. This was very kindly sent to me by Pantera Press and Hardy Grant. So this is another romantasy book. It involves a blacksmith heroine, and it's giving Hades and Persephone forbidden love, slow burn, and it's got an age gap. This started out really fresh and interesting. I love the fact that the female main character is a blacksmith, and I just really wish that was explored more in the beginning before jumping straight into like the unfolding of a forbidden prophecy in literally chapter 2. So that was just kind of where it fell short for me. So yeah, in chapter 2, the female main character is already running away from her blacksmith life. And from there, I kind of lost interest pretty quickly. But it was still a solid read in general. The writing was good. This was very pacey. The characters were interesting. It was also really short, so it felt like nothing much was happening, even though the prophecy literally unfolded in chapter 2, or maybe a little bit later than that. But the plot turned really early. That's for sure. So I'm not sure if this is getting a book 2, but I'll be keen to read the second book. I think the ending piqued my interest, so yeah, if there's a sequel, I'm totally down to read this. I think this gets probably a 2.5 or a 3 out of 5 stars for me. Alright, next up we have Ladies' Night by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is such an iconic duo. I remember I read, I think, These Broken Stars by the two authors, and I really enjoyed the book. I had no idea that they were still writing together, so that's just such a cute little surprise. This was very kindly sent to me by Ellen and Unwin. They surprised me with this beautiful PR package. I will insert a little video here. I'm so grateful for them. It came as a little surprise as well. I had no idea it was coming, so that was just such a cute little highlight to my day. So thank you, Alan Unwin, for this cute little copy and the PR package. This was so cute. This involves Gwen and Isabel. So Gwen she's the daughter of a blacksmith, I think. Yes, she is. So she kind of joins this tournament for knights, where the winner of the night gets Isabel's hand in marriage. Her intention isn't exactly to win her hand in marriage, but she just really wants to be a knight. So the two kind of forms this scheme. So if she wins, she gets to be a knight, which is her long dream. And knowing Isabel, she only wants freedom. So having Gwen winning the tournament means a win-win for the two. I honestly don't really have much to say about this book, apart from the fact that it was just super cute. I felt like this was the girliest medieval slumber party ever, and I am obsessed with the characters. They are amazing. Everyone's so wholesome and supports one another. The friendship is super sweet, and the structure of the story was just so fun. There's like a I don't really know what you call it, but it's like a one god narrative kind of like sprinkled throughout the book that makes you not take the story too seriously, and makes the book more funny and so much more charming. It's not anything extraordinary, but it was just so much fun. This is like the perfect book club read, or even something you bring to a slumber party or an afternoon high tea while you sip on some high class tea and nibble on some pretty cakes. So yeah, this was just a whole lot of fun. It was so girly and cute, and it's just such a joy, and it's just so charming, and everything about this book design screams the theme of the book. I think it's just so cute. Like the tagline over there, it says, "One thing's for sure, we're in for an unforgettable night." And then over here as well, it says, "Lock up your dragons, it's ladies' night." I don't know, I find this book so hilariously charming, and yeah, I love it. So this, I think, gets a 3.5 or maybe even a 4 out of 5 stars from me. Alright, we have our last physical book here before we jump into audiobooks. This is The Amalfi Curse by Sarah Penner. This story follows a few POVs set in either the 1800s or in the 2000s, all relating to the Amalfi coast. The one in the 1800s mainly follow Marie, who is a Srega, which are bright red-headed girls who have magic in their bloods. She has some control over water, particularly with waves, and when she accidentally kills a powerful man, his people starts to hunt for all the girls with bright red hair in hopes of killing Marie. Fast forward to Haven's POV in the 2000s. She is a nautical archaeologist and diver, hoping to uncover some secrets and treasures that her late father has shared with her. It's his dying wish for his daughter to kind of continue his legacy and uncover what he was so close to uncovering. This is one of the Book of the Month's book choice for, I think, the month of, I want to say May or June. And everything about it just sounded right up my alley. If you guys didn't know, I love stories with like looting and treasures involved. Ever since I was a kid, anything with buried treasures and jewels and looting is just so satisfying for me. An example of this can be found in Fable by Adrian Young, which, if you guys didn't know, made it to my 2024 top 5 favorite books. In that book, Fable is a gem sage, which means she can hear the sounds gems make, allowing her to find them much more easily than other people can. And I fell instantly in love the moment the book introduced Haven, because she was talking about old buried treasures within shipwrecks found at the bottom of the sea, and I was like, yes, this is exactly what I love. I thought the writing was beautiful from start to finish. This was everything I hoped it would be. I love anything to do with sunken treasures and looting involved. The fact that the female main character is a nautical archaeologist is just awesome. I love the technical terms used and how passionate she was. I love that this was nothing flashy or fantastical, but it is a fantasy in a way too, so it's rather something more character driven and original and romantic and emotional in its own way. The plot moved very quickly, and I read this exclusively as an ebook actually, and only during my commutes, which helped because otherwise I would have totally devoured this whole thing in one sitting. I seriously don't think I can say anything bad about this book. The pacing was superb. For a short book, I am so surprised by how well it all wrapped up and how in-depth this was. It did not for once felt rushed at all. The characters were all so fascinating, and the whole connection between the Stregeria and our present day main character all came together so beautifully. I just wish there were more books like this. And if you guys have any recommendations on books like these with like treasures and looting involved, please let me know. I loved every single moment of reading this book, and I kind of wish I read the physical book because then I would have absolutely annotated this to the brim. I might do that because I did have highlights and annotations in my e-reader, so I might one day just go back and re-annotate this. But yes, I think this might probably be a new favorite book of mine. So this gets a 5 out of 5 stars, hands down, and I am totally down to reading more of Sarah Penner's books. I wish this had a special edition as well. I feel like this would go so hard with a special edition. It's such a good book. I highly recommend this. Alright, so getting into audiobooks, the first audiobook that I wanted to talk about is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. So this story follows Signa, who is an orphan. She was left behind this huge wealth by her late parents, and she also has this weird immunity to death. She's had a string of guardians in the past, all of which are more interested in her wealth than Signa herself. But then she finds out that she has one last remaining relatives, which are the Hawthorns. So she goes there and she discovers lots of new secrets and mysteries. Eventually she even forms a relationship with Death himself, so that's interesting. So yes, it's a very unique plotline of a book. I listened to Belladonna on audiobook and I really loved it. The narrator did such an amazing job conjuring the dark, atmospheric, gothic feel of the book. It's a little slow and some parts felt like it dragged a little bit, but I was having so much fun with the audiobook that even the slow parts felt nice and atmospheric. The love interest being Death was very interesting. There's a bit of a love triangle involved, and if you guys know, I despise love triangles, but this is the only kind of love triangle I can accept. That's all you need to know. The plot twist was insane. I did not expect the killer at the end. If you guys have read Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, Belladonna feels a lot like Half a Soul's kind of dark, gothic older sister, I think. It's whimsical, it's dreamy, there's talks of debuting in society, feeling unwanted but ends up finding a place where they belong. It's a sweet, at times dark, but ultimately cozily atmospheric read. I'm keen to listen to the rest of the series on audiobook just because the narrator is excellent. So yes, I recommend this. This gets a 3.5 out of 5 stars from me. Okay, the last book that I want to talk about is The Last Legacy. Again, listen to this on audiobook. I think this is a spin-off to the World of the Narrow series, aka one of my most favorite series ever. I think the story is set several years after Namesake, and we follow different sets of characters, most or even all not relating to the characters we see in Fable and Namesake, which I think was the main reason why I put off reading this for a really long time. I saw that this was available to loan on BarbaBox, which was the only reason why I ended up picking it up. This can be read as a standalone novel for sure, since everything is new from the characters to the plotline, only the setting remains the same. There's not much to say about this, and it's probably my least favorite book in the series, just because I am connected to Fable and the gang quite a bit, so I am biased in that sense, but it just didn't stand out to me very much. The characters were great, and the romance, as always. My favorite romance comes from Adrienne Young's books. I just love how she writes with them so subtly, where it doesn't come off as cringy or weak. It's stone kisses and yearning gazes from a conservative distance, nothing flashy or outright. Overall, it's a great coming-of-age novel. I just really missed World of the Narrow series and was just really glad to be back. The political intrigue was interesting, as always. I love like the little backstabs and behind-the-scenes trades going along in the setting. It just adds to the grittiness of the book, which I really liked from the series. But yeah, I missed the world of the Nero series and was just really glad to be back. But sadly, it's not with the same characters. So anyways, this was enjoyable nonetheless. I would give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Alright, so that is the end of my July wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoy yapping about the books that I read in a given month. So thank you guys for giving me the space to talk about them. If you've read any of these books, please let me know in the comments, or if you found an amazing read in the month of July, please share them in the comments. I love to chat and I'd love to know. If you stuck through the end, thank you so much for doing so. I really appreciate your support and I am so glad for you to be here, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye! Thank you once again to the wonderful sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. If you're looking to build your own website, you can head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, you can go to squarespace.com/cupsandthoughts to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.